Hello, everybody, and welcome to round 6 of the 2020 GP4 Offline Championship. We are here at the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya in the Catalan region of Spain for the Spanish Grand Prix, the final top class race before the 2-week Christmas break. I'm your normal commentator, GW97, and I'm joined by a guy who never gives up on slagging me off in the stream chat. It's Ra. How are you doing?
Well, you weren't expecting to see me here. It's okay, lads. I got my job back. You don't need to know how I got it back. And hello, everybody.
Hello, indeed. So, we are here at Barcelona. We're getting set for the practice session, which has just come up on your screen, the weather forecast, that is. Dry session in store for us here in practice, and should be quite an entertaining session, hopefully. So, without further ado, let's get to free practice. Now, one thing I do want to point out is that there is a test driver in action for today's practice session. Ignore the loading screen because, of course, these are 2019 loading screens, so ignore them. But, of course, the obviously one test driver in the car for today, and that is Jared Fosbury for Haas. Yes, as everybody nicknames him the Fosbury era, he is in the Haas car for this pre-season test. Well, we were here for pre-season testing earlier in the season, but he's mainly here, of course, to do testing duties for the Haas team, as we are now in the garage getting set for the free practice session. And of course, the tyres we're using here at Spain is the soft tyres. And last time out in Portugal, well, if the F1 race was controversial in itself, then the OC produced something not as controversial, but still controversial enough that it was a talking point. Armar Carr, who looks set to get his third victory of the season and set to retake the lead in the championship, getting taken out by Kirishima de Rosa, which in turn led to Franco Lopez, his own teammate, taking the victory and increasing his lead in the championship. His first win since 2020, of course. Although originally Roland Mottram was leading the race after Carr's retirement, but obviously, Franco Lopez was able to pass him at the exit of turn 5. As De Rosa, speaking of which, who was the culprit of that accident with Carr, is now out on the racetrack and bizarrely wasn't able to get by Gomez at turn number 4 there. So yeah, overall, what did you make of that whole accident that happened at Portugal?
Yeah, it was pretty much wrong place, wrong time. Sometimes they always do this to get out the dirty air, but yeah, this is definitely wrong place, wrong time. Especially when you're lapping someone in front of you.
Yeah, indeed. And in turn, it has led Kirishima de Rosa to have a 5-place grid penalty for this race. So wherever Kirishima de Rosa ends up qualifying later on in the qualifying session, he will drop 5 places back, as he's still having trouble trying to get by Gabriel Gomez at this point in time. And there could be a chance he could get held up on his first lap here. But anyway, they're going to be starting their first laps pretty soon now then. All 22 cars should be out on the track in just a little bit, as they make their way through the Mickey Mouse chicane, as George keeps alluding to every season and highlights the flow breaker corner. It kind of breaks the flow of the track. Apologies if you can hear my dogs in the background. They're very, 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 very noisy. So anyway, Gomez has just started his lap. Gomez, it has to be said, over the last couple of races, finished 18th in the last 2 races. It's been a bit of a shaky one for Gabriel, you'd have to say, Ra.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, in Portimao, we got pretty unlucky at the start, to be fair. And yeah, didn't go his way, but yeah. I mean, they still got points in the championship, so that's good. So yeah, hopefully he can get some points, but at this moment of time, we'll see. Only time will tell.
Absolutely, and as De Rosa, speaking of which, whilst we were talking there, just finally made his way past there, Gomez, but I bet his lap has been compromised as a result. As we look at David Cupoc now then, who's trying to get by Dudu Kirby. Of course, the person that Jared Fosbury is replacing in the car is Daniel Fraser, and because this is Jared's book session, of course, he's booked to be in this session in Spain, it means that he's replacing the driver that's lower in the championship compared to the 2 teammates, that being Daniel Fraser, who is unfortunately last in the Drivers' Championship at the moment after Felix Sontag managed to put in a result at Portugal which leaped him above Daniel on a countback. So that's why he was able to get in front of Daniel, and Daniel, that's why he's now last in the championship, which doesn't really reflect Daniel's season, to be honest with you, because Daniel has had a pretty good season, and his teammate has just made a bit of a lock-up going into the hairpin that no longer exists in real life, of course, because it's now just a long left-hander. Well, actually, no, that's not true. That corner still technically exists, but it's only for rallycross now that gets used for. But yeah, that's that, but in terms for F1's sake, that corner doesn't really exist anymore. But because they used it in 2020 in real life, and of course this is the latest version that's available on Grand Prix 4, of course we have to use this one. So Gal currently at the top as we have some lap times on the board. Gal currently top with De Rosa in second. Is De Rosa only a thousandth off of Gal in the first sector, but still down on his personal best. That's despite the fact that on his previous lap he was held up as Lopez goes to the top by 0.6 of a second. So Lopez going on the top with a 1 minute 21.249. Car only managing fifth that time. I wonder if he got some traffic on his lap there. Roke goes up into third position, a man who'll be looking to put behind what you have to say was a very disappointing weekend at Portugal for George Roke after, well, being on the wrong strategy, really.
Yeah, indeed.
Time as everybody's finishing off laps. There were a load of mistakes there, which is why Kirby's 4.8 seconds off. He did have that lockup, which we saw a little bit earlier on. And a lot of traffic as well on those laps as well. Of course, traffic being a big thing around here at Catalonia as De Rosa unexpectedly, as expected, he's up on his personal best in the middle sector, and De Rosa about to finish his lap as Garma having trouble trying to get past the AlphaTauri there at this point in time. De Rosa goes up into fourth position thanks to that improvement as Gomez goes 16th fastest, as Garma continuing to be held up by the AlphaTauri and has got one of the Mercedes behind. I wonder if that is Carr who got held up on his lap. As we rode on board with De Rosa, just going around the long right-hander. Of course, this is the last top-class race, as mentioned a little bit earlier, before the 2-week Christmas break, as of course we're getting close to Christmas and New Year, of course, and it will also today will be the last GP2 race until the 2-week Christmas break. But in the case of GP2, it's going to be an even longer break for them because their first race back in the new year will be at Baku, and given that Monaco and the Indy 500 comes before then in the new year, it's going to be quite a lengthy break for GP2. So hopefully it's for a lot of people, they'll be hoping the break is worthwhile for them, as Gamba was able to finally get past the AlphaTauri, as has the Mercedes behind, but now Gamba's got more traffic in the form of Jared Fosbury, who's in front, who's currently in 18th position, the test driver for Haas, who's in the car for today, as Gamba looking to see if he can try and get by Fosbury. As a mistake there for Roberto Gamba. Roberto Gamba making a mistake at a corner where we typically see most of the mistakes, and he only just got past the Haas there of Dudu Kirby.
That's Fosbury.
No, Fosbury was the one in front of
I think I just saw it on the onboard from the Haas. It was Fosbury.
Right, so the one holding up Gamba was Dudu Kirby then.
Nice job, Joseph Croft.
Well, the 11 and 71 are similar, so you can forgive me on that one. It's not like
at least.
who doesn't use all the technology to his advantage, really. We have limited technology compared to what F1 TV has. So, that's that, really. And anyway, as going through turn 3 goes De Rosa, as Gamba still struggling to get by the Haas, and even the AlphaTauri fancies his chances, and I've just pointed that out. In fact, that Mercedes has actually just got... No, I think that's the other Mercedes, because the two Mercedes is a sandwich in the three cars that are around them, really. Although that Mercedes seems to have dropped back a bit from we saw a little bit earlier on. I wonder if they did that tactically to try and get a better lap in. Obviously, car down in 7th, so not too much of a surprise if that's the case, as we ride back on board with Kirishima De Rosa. But yeah, GP2, this is today their last race before the 2-week Christmas break, or in their case, the 4-week Christmas break, because they'll be off. They won't be racing for 4 weeks, and then they'll be back at Baku. Then, of course, on Thursday, Formula E's last race before the 2-week Christmas break. Then we'll have DTM as well, which takes place at Mugello. Formula E, of course, happening at Mexico City, and then, of course, BTCC this weekend at the National Layout of Donington Park before consecutive weeks of BTCC racing in the new year. 9 consecutive weeks, in fact. So look out for that one, because, of course, no F1 until March. So a bit of freedom there. De Rosa crosses the line, no improvement for him. Remains in 4th as Chris Chatfield trying to find his way past now on Dudu Kirby, and Chatfield getting on the inside and able to make the move stick. Chatfield, it's fair to say, it's been a bit half and half for him since he joined AlphaTauri. He's shown some promise, but you'd have to say, compared to his teammate David Cupoc, David has definitely had the edge on Chris this season, Rob.
Yeah, indeed. It was a bit promising ever since he got the AlphaTauri seat very early, but yeah, it's not looking good when he's in the AlphaTauri right now. So, not as great, but anything could happen with this midfield. So, there is possibilities.
Yeah, indeed, is now Armor Car, who still has been having traffic problems, has finally got by on Dudu Kirby, but I wouldn't be surprised because there was a bit of traffic in front that he catches up to that one on this lap, but we will see. As De Rosa, speaking of traffic, he's coming up to the back of the manor there. Trying to figure out which manor it is actually. It's Amelia Wilson, because Rosetta Martinez, who's up in 14th, is in the pits at the moment. So that's that really. So De Rosa now then coming up towards the Mickey Mouse section, which George Roque keeps on mentioning at every single highlight, and I bet you any money he will again mention it on the first lap of the highlights this season. Probably take a drink every time he says it, but anyway, as De Rosa now then makes his way onto the pit straight as he's trying to get some healthy slipstream from Wilson and trying to see if he can get past down into the first corner. And will De Rosa get the move done? Yes, he will. Pretty easily. Late on the brakes, and he's got some clear track in front of him. Currently up in 4th position. His teammate did improve a little bit earlier on, but only up into 11th position. Now, I would ask you about your opinion on Joseph Willows-Ra, but you've already mentioned it several times in the stream chat, so I'm not going to bother. So,
No fraudness at all. Don't worry.
As meanwhile, De Rosa equalled his lap time in the first sector there, which is why it was 0.000 on his delta. As it looked like Gal was able to get past, well, in fact, no, just only able to get around Martinez there, but it seems Martinez has affected his lap there. Martinez only just coming out of the pits. And 6 cars currently in the pits right now, which are Lopez, Roberto Gamba, Gomez, Chatfield, Sontag, and Kirby at this point in time. As we look back at De Rosa, who now finds himself nearly 2/10 of his personal best in the middle sector after equaling it in the first sector as he makes his way around the long swooping right-hander. And Evan even pointing out in the stream chat, starting 2022 in Monaco, it's a bad omen. I think me and Ro even made a joke about that at the beginning of the before we went on air, really. But I said maybe it might not be because Monaco, it has been known for the midfield to actually shine at that race, and given how quick this midfield has been this season, who knows really? Maybe the midfield could shine even more at Monaco when we come back in the new year. Who knows really? But then of course the week after Monaco, we have the Indy 500, and of course. I do believe Yuri has mentioned that the lineups for the Indy 500 will come on the same week as the Monaco GP. So be on the lookout for that. You will get the lineups in the new year, that's for sure. So anyway, as De Rosa is around turn 5 now then. As he's coming up to the back of one of the Ferraris at this point, but he's coming back into the pits this lap. So far the leaderboard here in practice currently looks like this. It's Lopez at the top with Gal in 2nd, Roque in 3rd, and it's De Rosa 4th, Franco Gamba in 5th with Byrne in 6th, Carr 7th, Motrin in 8th, Cupoc in 9th, Roberto Gamba completing the top 10 with Willows 11th, Chung 12th, Callaway in 13th, Martinez 14th, Videri 15th, Gomez 16th, Chatfield 17th, Fosbury 18th, Wilson 19th, Griffiths in 20th, Sontag 21st, and Kirby in 22nd position. And I went through that very quickly. Unlike Bence Valdinger yesterday when he was reading the championship standings out before the qualifying session. No disrespect, Bence, intended there. Just a little bit of a joke for you. But anyway, that's that really. So as Fosbury now then makes his way towards turn number 5 on the racetrack, the race will still be a 1.5 out of 10. Well, I don't think anyone will disagree with you there, Evan, to be honest with you. But strategic-wise, it might boost it just a little bit, but nowhere near any high numbers, I think. So anyway, Videri, meanwhile, has got up to 10th in the Alfa Romeo. It's fair to say that this season, when compared to Gomez, Videri has been dragging the most out of that Alfa Romeo Rob, a little bit like he did last season.
Yeah, indeed. He's taken the chances, and he's done it way better than Gomez, so it's looking good for him.
Indeed, as we now have Armar Carr coming into the pits, and currently in 7th position at the moment. Definitely had traffic problems on that lap, and it's clearly burnt his tyres, which suggests that maybe the degradation could be a bit of a thing around here. I mean, usually when we've been to Spain, especially last season as well, it always seems like the free stop seems to be the best one whenever we go onto the softs, and it seems like the degradation range that usually gets randomly generated, because we also have that for, well, to determine what sort of degradation all the tyres will have at each race to ensure that it's not repetitive, of course. Last season, of course, it was the free stop seemed to be the way to go, if I remember correctly, hence why Chung and Gao were able to just sprint away from the rest of the field. Maybe that could be the case this season as well, if that is anything to go by, given that Carr, whilst at times he had some clear track in front, was still not able to improve, unless the traffic affected him that much. I don't know. But anyway, speaking of a Mercedes is currently getting held up by a Ferrari behind, and I'm not on. And before anybody thought there I was on about the pink Mercedes that was on the screen, I was not. I was on about the Mercedes that's behind him, that's currently getting stuck behind the Ferrari. So anyway. Yep. As Lopez now, then speaking of which, now trying to get by the Ferrari of Loa Chung, as that's number 57 on the Ferrari, and Lopez able to get through. Chung, of course, who took a first ever victory last season here in Spain, but unless some midfield luck happens, like we saw in China and in a way at Hockenheim, it's probably going to be a hard task for her. But you never know, of course. Obviously, Galloway and Roque were able to prove it, as mentioned in China and Germany, and maybe we could see that at Monaco as well. And next thing you know, it probably won't happen. It'll probably either be a Mercedes or Red Bull that ends up winning it at Monaco. And for Red Bull, they'll be hoping they get a victory either here or Monaco, because so far for Red Bull, it's not been the best start to the season for them. We expected them to be the closest challengers to Mercedes, but they've been kind of batting a lot with Racing Point this season, and at times Renault. Yeah,
indeed. Not looking great for them, unfortunately. Yeah, Gal made some mistakes in Australia. Could have gotten second, but yeah, not great for him. And yeah, the strategy didn't really work out for them in Portimao for Franco Gamba as well. So yeah, yes, he got third, but maybe he could have gotten more than third.
That 3 seconds, Dennis, because Kirby's in 21st. But anyway, as we now look at David Cupoc, who's currently stuck behind one of the Manners at this point in time. Cupoc, who of course has had a much better season compared to last season. It seems that the bad luck he had last season has down a little bit. I mean, he has the odd bad luck here and there, but he always seems to pick it up. But unlike last season, he has been able to recover pretty well, it's safe to say. And Cupoc this season, obviously been the best AlphaTauri, this has to be said. Probably taking on the role that Matteo Catalan kind of left behind at Toro Rosso last season.
Yeah, indeed.
You were saying, Rosso?
We'll see if he can keep the seat, because it is looking good. I think he will have a good chance on keeping the seat for the fantasy era.
Will he want to stay at AlphaTauri? That is the question.
Depends. It just depends.
Because we're going fantasy next season, it is a bit of an unknown, really, how the pecking order is going to look. Will it change drastically? Will it only change by a little bit? Who really knows, really? Only Yuri will have the keys to that by the end of the season, and he's not even telling me or Flo. So that tells you something, that Yuri's keeping this one close to his chest. So, anyway, as Cupoc trying to get up to the back it's Martinez, in fact, because that is the Nico Hulkenberg helmet, and still getting stuck behind the Manor at this point in time. His way through the long swooping right-hander with just over 14 minutes to go in at this practice session. At the moment, Lopez currently top, the top two, in fact, in the pits at this point in time, both Lopez and Gal. Here is Jake Galloway, who has had a pretty good rookie season so far, has to be said. I think early contender for Rookie of the Season at this point in time. If Chatfield got Rookie of the Season last season, I think it said Jake Galloway is a very strong contender for this season, given that, well, he's won a race. So I think that makes him an even stronger contender for Rookie of the Season. But early days, there could be another rookie in the field that could throw a surprise, that could be even better than Galloway. Who knows, really? As Galloway was up on his personal best there in the first sector, but he's made a horrible mistake through turns 4 and 5 there, which is probably going to cost him a bit of time. Galloway at the moment currently finding himself down in 14th position, and it's fair to say that whilst his race pace is good, his qualifying over the last couple of races hasn't been the best, Ra.
Yeah, indeed. At least he's got more points than Jake McKenzie compared to the runner from last season. So at least that's a success for him. But yeah, the qualifying hasn't been there for him, but I think he can improve on it. But yeah, you can see the midfield is very tight, so you never know what can happen for Jake.
He's still up on his personal best in the second sector despite that mistake, and fair enough, Dennis. I wasn't really paying attention to that. It's Gal trying to find his way through on his fellow compatriot there, Roland Mottram, but isn't able to do so at this point in time, and Gal could get a bit frustrated being held up by Roland, who at the moment is in 8th position. So And see, Galloway actually gets up into the top 10 now, gets up into 9th position. But I think there's probably a little bit more on the table for Galloway, given that he did make a little bit of a mistake at the beginning of the second sector. Willows, meanwhile, goes up to 7th place, gets in front of Evan Burns. Up into P7 goes Willows. Both McLarens now finding themselves in the top 10 of this practice session, as Gal is going to try again to get by on Motrin down the pit straight this time. Will he try and get later on the brakes compared to his fellow compatriot into the first corner? And he's trying to stay side by side, but no, he won't. In fact, that corner's got some horrible memories for Gal back in 2018 when he had quite a bit of a dramatic crash with George Roke when the pair of them collided at the exit of turn 2, which in turn put both of them out of the race, and it kind of led to a little bit of a meme that went on YouTube that Miklos, I think, edited as well. So yeah, that's that really. And Gal will be hoping that don't happen this season, of course. I mean, he came close to winning here last season against Laura Chung, but Laura Chung just had the edge on him in the end. And speaking of Laura Chung, she actually goes up into 7th place, getting in front of Franco Gamba at the moment, but still over a second off of Franco Lopez. And we might as well talk about Laura Chung, because finally, at the last race, at the previous race, she finally got her first points on the board after what was a tricky start to the season for her.
Yeah, indeed. At least she outperformed the teammate.
Yeah, indeed,
yes.
and she did perform that incredible overtake on Kirishima De Rosa at the final corner, which pretty much caught Kira unawares, really. Amelia Wilson, meanwhile, getting up into 16th position, 15th and 16th so far for the Manor, so pretty good practice session, but this is only practice. It's qualifying where it really matters the most, as Wilson makes her way through turn 2, and then into turn 3, she will now go, as she goes around a long swooping right-hander. As the two Hungarians still scrapping it out as they make their way into the first corner. Motrin and Gal. Probably been exciting to watch if you're an Hungarian viewer of the OC. And we know that apparently there is quite a big audience in Hungary for the OC as well, thanks to Gal and Motrin. Yeah, but it's been quite enjoyable to watch those two fight during the season, especially given Motrin's rise to form again this season, given that the last 2 races he scored a podium and even got the fastest lap. I wonder when the win will come, though, from Roland Motrin. That is the question, because he has been close now for the last 3 races, it's fair to say. He is teasing that first win, but he hasn't come to reality just yet. Will it happen? Who knows, really. It's Griffiths, meanwhile, gets up into 19th position with just over 10 minutes to go. As
Gal's got him, and Roland locked up.
Got him now. Yeah, he's got him now because of Roland Motrin's double lockup going into the corner there. Just under 10 minutes to go now in this session, and so far the leaderboard looks like this. We might as well just do a little bit of a recap. Lopez at the top, Gal in 2nd, Roke in 3rd with De Rosa 4th, Carr in 5th position. He did get up into 5th, but still not ideal for him. Chung in 6th, Franco Gamba in 7th, with Willows in 8th, Byrne 9th, Motrin 10th, and it's Galloway 11th, Cupoc 12th, Verderi in 13th, then Roberto Gamba in 14th, Martinez 15th, Wilson 16th, Gomez 17th, Chatfield 18th, Griffiths in 19th, and then it's Fosbury in 20th, Sontag 21st, and Kirby in 22nd position as Gamba passes the Renault there of, I believe that's Evan Byrne he's just got by. So Gamba making his way through there, but still down on his personal best in the second sector, clearly getting held up a bit more. Only down in 7th place at the moment. Franco Gamba, who finally got a podium last time out at Portugal after what has been a bit of a shaky season. I would say that overall he has performed better than Gal this season so far, but the results just haven't come the Italians' way so far.
Yeah, indeed. You got pretty unlucky in Australia with the puncture as well. You could have gotten a 3rd maybe, but hey ho. These things happen, so anyway. At least he's gotten the podium. Let's see if he can do better.
Indeed so, and one team that's still teasing points at the moment is Williams, of course. It's been a couple of occasions this season where the Williams have teased trying to get a points finish with both Felix and Jamie. It's fair to say the pair have been, you have to say, equally matched this season, both Felix and Jamie, both getting the best out of each other, and the results are definitely showing at the moment. Definitely teasing those points finishes at the moment, and fair to say they've had a much better year than what Manor and Haas have had in particular.
Yeah, indeed. I think the points will come for Williams. Jamie has been very close in most of the races of the season, so it's looking good for Williams. At one point they will get points, so yeah, it's promising for them.
Yeah, indeed. As Lopez, meanwhile, who's getting stuck in traffic, currently at the top of the timing sheets, but finds himself 4 tenths down the personal best. Again, sorry for the dogs. They're clearly singing like they're on the X Factor for some reason. But anyway, as Amelia Wilson makes her way down the hill through the left-hander, which isn't classed as a corner for some reason here in Barcelona. Don't ask me why, but yeah, I find that one a bit strange, really. But up towards turn number 8 we go. And now making their way down towards the hairpin. His car again getting caught up in traffic, having no luck with the traffic in this session, it's fair to say. He's now stuck behind the Alfa Romeo of Andrea Verderi at this point. And Cal, of course, looking to get redemption after being taken out last time out in Portugal, which has left Lopez now to have a 27-point cushion ahead of him in the Drivers' Championship, which means that whatever happens tomorrow, Lopez will still lead the championship going into the 2-week break. So Carr really wants to try and turn this around if he wants to be close to him going into the new year. As Wilson, meanwhile, who looked like had her lap compromised because of Lopez behind, 3.7 seconds off of Lopez, and I'd say she's a bit behind her personal best as well. In fact, yes, she is. In fact, she was 1.3 off her personal best thanks to Lopez being behind. As Wilson makes her way around turn number 3. Currently 16th behind her teammate Rosetta Martinez at the moment, and finds herself 6 attempts down off of Lopez in the first sector, with 600 down on her personal best at the moment. And so as Lopez getting it all wrong there at the hairpin, I wonder if that has anything to do with Wilson in front of him at this point in time. As just looking at the field at the moment, Kirby the only driver at the moment to be over 3 seconds behind Lopez at this point in time, and everybody else either is under 3 seconds or under 2 seconds behind Lopez, or in some people's cases under 1 second behind. So that's that really. It's now we look at George Roque again, as mentioned, a driver who wants to put the disappointment of Portugal behind him, as he's 1 tenth down on his personal best at the first sector as he makes his way out of turn number 5. There's Galloway now. They're trying to find a way past on the other Alfa Romeo of Gabriel Gomez, which he's able to do pretty easily. In fact, the low drag Renault definitely helping him out down the straight there compared to the Ferrari, which to be fair is probably the slowest down the straight, it's fair to say, compared to all the other engines on the grid. Here comes George Roque now then, as he will now go up towards the right-hander. Is now Lopez again trying to find a way through on Amelia Wilson. There's some more cars now making their way back out onto the track. One of them I think is Joseph Willows that's just come out there, because it looks like a yellow helmet, so I think it is Willows. It is Willows. In fact, both McLarens are now out on the racetrack. As we ride back on board with George Roque with just over 5 minutes to go, as he makes his way through the corner that he really, really hates, as he mentioned several times in the highlights. Through the chicane he goes, and now into the final corner goes George Roque, as he'll now make his way onto the pit straight. Across the line will go the Racing Point driver. I don't think he's going to improve. And no, he doesn't. So he remains 7 tenths behind Lopez at this point in time. Remains at the moment in 3rd position. So far, a pretty good session for George Roque at this point in time, as he makes his way through the first 3 turns on the racetrack, as he sweeps the car around the long, swooping right-hander now then. And now up towards the first sector he goes, and he still finds himself down on his personal best by 2 tenths of a second. Gall, Carr and Franco Gamba and Fosbury, the 4 drivers who are in the pits at this point in time. Fosbury currently ahead of his teammate for today, at least, due to Kirby, of course. Fosbury being the Haas test driver, taking the place of Daniel Fraser, who, of course, is last in the Drivers' Championship. And, of course, as mentioned, this is Fosbury's booked session. This is not a requested session. This is his booked session. As Lopez 1.7 seconds off, so definitely Amelia Wilson may be having a part in that, as he's got 2 other cars in front. Me compromising, one of them, of course, being Willows, who's just got by that Williams there. Not sure which Williams it is that he's just got by, but it is one of the Williamses nonetheless. There's Roland Motrin now trying to find his way past the other manor. This time Rosetta Martinez down in 10th position, but he should have some clear track now, because there doesn't appear to be anybody in front of him for a while at least anyway. As now Lopez gets himself stuck behind the Williams that Willows just got past a little bit earlier on. And I'm not really sure which Williams it is, as mentioned. To be honest, as Lopez now then makes his way down towards turn 6 and 7. Very easy to lose the back end of the middle of that corner, really, because it is a bit of a weird profile of corner, it's safe to say. As Martinez is currently holding up one of the Alpha Tauris at the moment, making their way down the pit straight. as now we ride back on board with Wilson, who gets it all crossed up a little bit there, going into the hairpin there. And so a bit of a lock-up for the 2019 Formula E champion at the moment, as she's currently in 16th position. As now into the final chicane we will go. We're just under 3 minutes to go. We're getting close to the end of practice, and then of course we will get on to the qualifying session. And on the straight, Willows meanwhile gets up into 6th position. Lopez, as expected, doesn't improve as Carr now goes back out onto the racetrack. As we now, as a bit of a lock-up there for Lopez, and that will not do his tyres any good into the first corner there. Cupoc now then makes his way towards hairpin, and finally is able to get by the manner of Rosetta Martinez. As Chatfield only up to 17th after that lap, so far not been the best of sessions for Chris Chatfield. As Roke now then just goes around the chicane, and Cupoc getting it all wrong on the exit there before heading into the Mickey Mouse chicane. Now through left and right hander he goes, and now into the final turn will go the German, who currently finds himself in fact I don't know where he is at the moment. I'll have a look in a minute, because Motrin has got up into 3rd position, so 3-4 at the moment for the racing points. Roland Motrin now 0.743 behind Franco Lopez at this point in time. Cupoc is actually in 12th position. I just realised that, as Lopez obviously had his lap ruined there on the first sector because of that lock-up, so this lap will not count towards anything. I think he might get at least 1 or 2 more laps in. It depends if he gets the indication on his DEF panel or not. Really all depends, really. And it might actually be just a 1 lap, in fact. We'll have to wait and see. It just depends what the timer says when he comes across the line. He might just have time to do 2 more laps, but we'll see. As he comes out of the final turn, across the line will go the current championship leader and the defending champion, of course, and he does not improve, and he will have 1 more lap after this one, of course, so 2 laps in total. Sontag doesn't improve. Wilson crosses the line, no improvement for her. Here comes Miklos Gau across the line. He will now go. He doesn't improve, as we now look at Chatfield, who just comes out of the chicane now then, making his way down the pit straight, and across the line will go the AlphaTauri driver, and he does not improve, as Roke now then comes around the last chicane into the left and then into the right, and using a bit of curb on the outside into the final turn, and onto the pit straight then goes George Roke. He will now cross the line. What is he going to do? And he does not improve, nor does Byrne. Fosby, just enough time to do 1 more flying lap before he has to hand the keys back to Daniel Fraser. Motrin doesn't improve, as David Cupoc now then comes across the line himself and remains where he is at this point in time. Dudu Kirby rounds the final turn. The man who had a gearbox issue last time out in Portugal will looking to put that behind him if he can in this second of 2 races in Iberia, and he did not improve on that lap. Jamie Griffiths crosses the line, no improvement for him either, as Franco Gamba is up on his personal best. Gamba currently down in 9th position, so maybe he could get 1 very good lap in before the session comes to a close. The Italian now then comes across the line and goes up to 3rd, so he's in the top 3, but 2nd and 3rd right now for the 2 Red Bull drivers. As Roberto Gamba, his cousin, isn't able to improve. Carr improves to go up to 2nd. He got some healthy bit of slipstream, so it is a Mercedes 1-2. Willows does not improve, and will Lopez cross the line to do 1 more lap? And yes, he will. Lopez does not improve, and Lopez was the last car to cross the line there, so that's that. Sontag now then comes across the line, does not improve. Wilson doesn't improve, as the checker flag is out, as I've just mentioned. Gal doesn't improve either. Chatfield now rounds the second chicane, the last chicane now then, making his way around the final turn. Across the line will go the last season's rookie of the season. We've got a yellow flag, and it's Dudu Kirby. So I mentioned earlier we had a gearbox problem in Portugal, and he looks like he's got another mechanical problem. So what's happened this time? Is it gearbox related, or is it something else? Let's have a look on the steering wheel.
And it is. Yep, another gearbox.
So it seems that the problem Dudu Kirby had at Portugal seems to have come back here in practice. Another gearbox problem for Dudu Kirby, and he may have to climb back into the T car to start the qualifying a little bit later on, as Videri didn't have enough time to do a lap there. Here comes George Roke now then. Across the line he will go in the racing point. No improvement for him. Jared Fosbury, before he hands the keys back to Daniel Fraser, improves but remains in 20th position. Roland Motrin remains in 5th. Here comes David Cupoc now then. Across the line will go the AlphaTauri, and he does not improve. Here comes Jamie Griffiths now then, who goes around the chicane. And now into the final turn will go Jamie Griffiths, as he will now come across the line. He's currently down in 19th, and he's not looking like he's going to be on the improvement. In fact, he's way off. In fact, 3.9 seconds down. As Franco Gamba out of the final turn, currently in 4th position at the moment in the Red Bull. And the Australian Grand Prix winner from last season does not improve. His cousin heads down the pit straight now. Then what can Roberto manage? As he's got Carr behind him, no improvement, and no improvement for Carr either. Willows across the line, he will go in the McLaren, no improvement. As here comes Lopez, the last car to cross the line. Can he improve on his 1 minute 21.2? And no, he can't. So there you go. That is practice done with Lopez at the top, Carr in second, and Gal in third. So what did you make of that session overall, Ra?
Yep, row by row from every team. Well, even from the 4 teams from Mercedes, Red Bull, Racing Point, and McLaren. And yeah, well, it does show that in qualifying, I think getting held up will be a massive blow for one of the laps. So qualifying will be crucial. So track position is going to be very important.
Indeed so. Well, we won't have long to find out. We're just going to go off the air for a little bit. We'll be back for a fresh stream, and we will come back to you with the qualifying session. But in the meantime, I've been JW97, he's been Ra, and we'll see you in just a little bit for the qualifying session. See you in a bit.